righty. All right, so we're gonna go get started getting everything all set up for everyone. So we're good to go. Let's see what we got on tap for today. I'm just gonna get our scrap paper so that way I kind of know where we're going. Let some people start floating on in, that kind of deal. Hey, how you doing this morning? There we go, so I can kind of see what's going on. All right. So thanks for joining me on this stream. I am going to continue on my series. Well, first of all, let me give you my name. I'm Marcus G. This is my stream where I do everything from like comics, I do like little sketch cards and a few other things, but mainly I'm here to help educate, in addition to showing you guys what I do. Um, as of late, we've been working on some stuff for Inktober, and last time that I was on here, I did a really dope looking bishop, which I'll show here in just a minute. Um, but I'm going to do something that probably a lot of people don't show when it comes to Inktober or when they're doing their stuff is that's actually doing some of the work ahead of time because, you know, it's hard to do this on a daily basis and stay consistent. Now, I haven't posted all of the ones that were for this week, so let me just tell you the prompts that we have because I am doing the excuse me. Sorry, I got to go back to my stream here. All right. So I personally, I am working on the X-Men based Inktober prompts. So these are the prompts here. Let me show you. Might be hard to see, but let me get them up there. So those are the Inktober prompts for X-Men. So um, just this week, we've had to do things like Rogue. We had Wolverine on the plate, Sabretooth, Deathbird, the White Queen was yesterday, and today is going to be Iceman. After that, it's going to be Beast Storm, Mystique, Mister Sinister, the Executioner, Colossus, Psylocke, Miro, and if you wanted to do an extra one for the week because um, Halloween is on a Friday, they gave a 30-second one. So if people want to do that just as a rando, they can. But I probably will not. I'm going to stop probably right there at Miro, and that'll be my last one. Um, anyway, let us get the good old stream going here. I just want to be able to see you guys and see myself going. Um, let's see. And again, we have Iceman on tap for today. I want to kind of give myself a barrier to work with or a border to work with, and I'm just going to do this in pencil. I don't want to do this in ink. This last one. I have like 4 different little sleeves here that I have all of my inking or all my drawing supplies in, and I just got to find the right one. All right, so I typically use a gear, a graphic gear pencil for all my work. It looks like that. This one's just out of lead today, so I'm just going to hold off on that one. I'm going to go back to my other one. And these are Nick Pro. These are actually, I got these off of Amazon. Not a bad little pencil. Very architectural style. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a little bit of a border. And I believe this is 1.5 inch thick ruler, so I'm just going to use that as my barrier. Well, my margin, basically. I'm going to go here, flip this guy around. You can kind of see that line right there. Do the same thing on this side. I'm not really measuring. All I'm doing is just using the thickness of the ruler to generate this margin on all 4 sides. How you doing there, Aaron's? Nice to see you up on the stream. Even if you're just coming by to visit, it's okay. You know, for some people, it's really early. Other people, not so bad. Last week was my first time doing this on a Thursday. I've been wanting to change my stream to a earlier time, and you know what? Fate had it in mind for me to have that happen, and it did. And I ended up um, they backed down my hours over at my other job, so I'm like, okay, well, might as well not look at this as a negative, turn it into a positive, and just use this as time that I can um, generate more artwork and spend some more time here on whatnot, build this following, that kind of thing. All right, so let's go into the fun stuff before we get the drawing going. Um, okay, make sure I got my stuff here. Hang on. Let's see here. Alrighty. So this was last week. Okay. So let me actually move this forward so we can kind of see what it looks like. All right. So last week I got a chance to do this. This is my Inktober submission for whatever day last Friday. But I did a bishop piece. Now I did get a chance to digitally color this one, so I'm going to be posting that up online as soon as I finish doing the shadows and highlights on it. But I basically eliminated this here and I just kept the character because my hope was I was going to do a convention. Unfortunately, I didn't get a spot in the convention to do Artist Alley this year. No biggie. But I decided I wanted to go ahead and do some artwork that would be something I could sell. So I did this dope bishop. I turned it into a print style, and this was the initial version. So this one will be up on whatnot. I haven't posted it yet, but I will. So if somebody wants to get a bishop, there you go. It's a nice little X-Men piece. So that was that one. Before that, this one was just one that I did. I this is a gift, and I got to send this guy out. But on this one, Doctor Doom holding the helmet or the cowl of Captain America, and this is a throw. I wouldn't even say a throwback. This is a basis on what might be coming in the new Doomsday movie. The rumor that I've heard is that Tony Stark's character is actually not happy with what Captain America did by going back in time and putting back the stones that he and the rest of the Avengers had gathered. So that's where that came from. Other things that I've done. This was Transformer X, and I'm going to come back to this piece because as much as I love the design in this, it definitely needs some shadows in it to really make it pop off the page. So I will be revisiting this one to finalize it. I thought I was final with it prior. It's final in inks. It's just not final in its overall design. So I will be revisiting that one. Um, Another one that was done. If you're a big fan of Spider-Man, there you go. That's my like homage to a Spider-Man 300. So it's still got that nice little circle there, but him coming out there in that forced perspective. I changed the pose a little bit, but I just wanted to have something really, really amazing and fun and just in your face. So that was one. If you want a throwback to the Deadpool Wolverine movie, there's this guy right here. If you are a Fantastic Four fan, you got the Thing. I will be doing the other three characters from Fantastic Four because I do have three more Fantastic Four blanks. So I will be doing Reed Richards. I'm going to do the Invisible Woman and Johnny Storm. I want to make sure I get them all on there. You have the House of M. This is up on the store. And you got Rocket Raccoon These are really unique cover comics as well because this one was actually a Scotty Young piece. So this is Scotty Young's first Rocket Raccoon comic that he did interiors in. This one right here, if you're a Joe Madureira fan, that's got Joe Mad art in it. So the guy that did Darkstalkers, he's concept artist for Darkstalkers, and he did Darksiders, the video game. And if you're a fan of Battle Chasers, he's also the creator of that. So that is all of the fun stuff. That is all of the comics. So if you guys have any interest in any of those are up for grabs. Um, the only one again that's not on the site is that Bishop piece. So that's it. That's all we got. So without further ado, what we're going to do first, this is going to be my template that I'm going to tinker with because I'm going to end up having Iceman kind of like surfing out and around, and then he's going to be coming. He'll be right here, but you'll see the trail of ice. I just want to make sure that I have a good idea of what I'm looking at. So this is where this comes into play. You want to always start off with some kind of sketch, a reference sketch. Does it mean that you're going to use that? Absolutely not. But it is a good jumping off point for you if you are deciding you want to create something, what we call a thumbnail. Okay. So on here, my goal was I want to have him riding this ice wave. Now, my ice wave is going to kind of float in and out. So it's this part right here will not be shown. Okay. I just want to kind of understand where the ice wave is going and then where I want him. Okay. That's my goal. Because I have to know where the character is moving. Okay. I have to know because if I don't know where this person is going, then it's going to kind of throw me off. All right, so he's got to have his hand out like this. He's kind of here, and again, I'm just trying to. This is why I'd rather do it here to kind of work out all the kinks. I don't like doing a lot of erasing on my paper if I can help it, because the more erasing that you do, especially if you're using more of a traditional eraser. Let me give you an example of that. So if you're using a traditional eraser like this, also those pink erasers, they tend to be a little bit more rough. This one's not so bad. It does take off pretty smooth. But usually like those pink erasers and stuff of that nature, they tend to like rough up your paper. So they're actually making it more gritty, and it does a couple things. One, it wears down the paper, and two, it will make it hard if you're putting extra little bits on it, such as like markers or colored pencils and stuff like that. So sometimes those things will not hold if your paper is like torn up. So you definitely want to make sure that you do not do that. Okay. Okay, okay. Let me make sure I got. All right. So I want him. Do I want him? Like this. No, it kind of makes him look like he's holding something that he should be holding. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Alrighty. So there. So we got that. See, as I'm turning him, so I really just wanna make him pop. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna okay. So he's like shooting out the ice, making it look right. I like it. So bam, bam. Because he rides his ice wave, right? Almost like he's riding a horse. So now now I'm actually changing the design a little bit. So he came up, he's going around like so. I want to make him look like he's gone a good distance, right? Something like this. Looking better and better. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. So now that we have our design, this is what I'm going for, like this. All right. Let's see if we can get it a little better. This is what we're going for. So we're just going to just rough it out. And I'm going to use my red pencil lead because I prefer that more so than blue. Okay, I think that's better. Okay. 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 I don't know if I like this. I think he's going to be a little too small for my area, so I'm going to make him bigger. All right. All right. I think I'm going to go back. Let's go back to this. Going to make him bigger. Okay. 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 All right. So I am going to have to pull some reference because I can't remember all of the design for this guy. So let us jump in here. Hopefully, I'll see some more people in here a little bit later on. I know, like last week, it was weird, but that's all good. I'm glad that I get to see some people come in and out. Let's see here. Who's got a good reference that I can use? Okay, I can use this. Okay. Okay. So, do I like this? I'm really not feeling this idea. I don't really like it. Like it's not capturing me. I don't really like it. So let's flip this. Let's flip it. Oh, even better. I got some stuff on the back I can use here. That'll work out better. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Okay. This is much better. I like this way, way better. And I will clean this up. Okay, so that's done. Okay. guys. We are getting there. All right, so it's just me for now. That's all good. I'm not mad at that. It's early yet. It's all good. All right. Okay. I know what I want to do. I'm just going to pull this here. Make sure I have as many references as possible. Okay. Okay. All right. I think I got my references, so I should be good. Alrighty. Everybody can see that? I can. I want this to be kind of like a wave. I think that's good. All right, so now that we have that, when I'm riding the wave, all right, like I said, I want to have it where it's and I want it to all right. So he's going to have had this opportunity where he slid like he went this way. Okay. All right. All right. So we got the roughie of him. He is ready to rock and roll. We're now that we have the basics for him. We know what he looks like. We're in good shape. How you doing today? What's up, Jolton? Right, I'm going to come in there with my 9. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. All right, who else do I got in there? All right, Jolton. It's good to see you this morning. Hope you're up doing some fun stuff. Maybe picking up some cool things on good old Whatnot, or just chilling out. All right, I'm just trying to make sure my perspective is right. All right, so here's the deal. He can have hair in a multitude of different ways. So he's been drawn in a series of different ways, but everything is jagged when he's in ice form. It's a little different. It's not like traditional hair, right? So everything is like hard edges in his head. Oh. So we're just going through here. We're just trying to get everything looking really good. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Ready? He's looking good. And again, this is just putting in some of the pieces that I need with the All right. So what else have we got going on? Let's see what he looks like here. Okay. So we're just lightening up some of this graphite so I can. Okay. All right. So let's get in here and let's start hitting up this color. Okay. Okay. So it's looking much, much better. All right, who do we got up in there? Nobody as of yet. So that Aaron Silvers, that was hello. Elise, that was cool. Jolting, that was cool. Nice to see you guys up there. You come back. Love to see you. Love to chat. You know what? I'm just going to go on a little rant of just stuff because I really want to just get some stuff out there. Um, so I had a really good conversation the other day. With some of my students because I'm a graphic design teacher and instructor. I teach everything from basic illustration skills into web design, logo design, the psychology behind design as well. Um, at the end of the day, my main thing is making sure that people are able to design and create things critically, like using critical thinking skills. Um, a lot of the times that I find out when we're doing any type of anything, we're kind of losing that ability. So think about it. When before we really had computers doing a lot of the work for us. So before like Microsoft Word got super intuitive and we had Google and all this kind of good stuff, like really at its level where it was extremely proficient. Um, there was a point in time when we really had to work to get things done. So, for example, writing a letter or writing out a report is hard. It is very, very hard. Um, when I was in high school, early parts of college, we had to, go to the library. We had to have our papers torn apart by instructors using proper grammar, punctuation, all that kind of good stuff. And I think that's important because you need to learn those lessons. Um, Case in point, just to move it forward. So on Monday, um, Amazon had its outage. Well, at least on their not on their site, but as far as like their web hosting services. That particular outage messed up a ton of different companies, namely Canvas, which is what a lot of schools, colleges, institutions use to do like their educational services, right? That was a big, big reality check. And whenever something like this happens, I'm one of these people that's on the other side where I'm like, I'm glad that it's happening because now you have to figure out how to do stuff without all of those little helpers in place. If we are always looking to go to a chat GPT or going to a Google, um, letting things do things for us through an automated system or through an AI system, we're kind of doing ourselves a disservice. And the reason why I bring this kind of stuff up is because in my art world, not just me, but other artists, other designers, this is becoming a very fundamental issue. And obviously, as technology gets better and better and better, people are going to want to find ways to utilize this on a regular basis. So, for example, if we are always utilizing, you know, this new AI, these new AI systems that keep on coming out, we're going to lose that human development process. We will not learn how to make a mistake and then be able to filter through it. We'll only know one way. So now you're giving control to one system. And why would you want to do that? You want to make sure that you have a multitude of different things you can do. And that's why we need to really start looking at things such as AI, such as automated systems, as a tool and not the solution. Okay. And it's weird that I say that, but that's the reality we really need to look at these things as. When you rely so heavily on one thing to do it, now granted, again, you have different AI systems, then you're stuck. Um, because Photoshop is one of the bigger programs that I like to use. Like it's one of my favorites to use for digital art and editing and stuff of that nature. When I use it, the problem that I find out is that then now they have it where you can do auto generation, right? Where you can type in a prompt and it will automatically generate something for you. Now, is that a bad thing? No, it is not. And the reason why I say that it's not completely bad is because if you need an idea, now you can use it as a jumping off point, but if it's always your go to when you can't seem to find something, that is a problem. And you need to fix that. You need to stop relying on that because eventually, now you're going to get to the point where you do this so much, the people that are developing these systems are like, oh, hey, Bob over there, all he does is he uses this system in place. Well, you know what? We're going to charge him for it now. Okay. We're not just going to charge him 20 bucks, a month or 20 bucks for the year because that's how they bring you in, like at a small rate. We're going to charge you $300 a year. Okay. That's how they hook you because now you're stuck because now you don't know how to do it the old way. You don't know how to do it another way. And that's where we as a generation, as a culture, really need to think about what we're doing now because there are long-term effects for utilizing these systems. Again, I'm not opposed to people using them. I think it is good to have them. But it's just like if you have a hammer, there's multitude of different hammers to use and each one of them can do steps better than the other. Like you'll have a sledgehammer to do bigger jobs. You'll have a 18-ounce hammer versus a 4-ounce hammer for different types of jobs. But each one of them in the hands of a specific person could make it work a certain way. But if I'm always using the sledgehammer for every job, then it's not going to be the right product for every time. Then I'm stuck on and then I don't have anything else to use. And that's where I really have a problem with where things are going in our world. I really want people to think about it because a lot of times, and I will say this more so for the generation that's coming up. The generation that's coming up is now learning the easiest paths to complete the job, right? Without understanding what's underneath that. So people like myself will become more valuable once things break. Think about it. All right. You own a business, right? Your business hinges on you being able to make money, right? So let's just say, for example, you're a restaurant, right? And your restaurant just all of your computer systems go down. Okay. Now all your computer systems control how you calculate tax, how you have your inventory, all that stuff, right? So what happens when you lose all of that stuff? Well, you have to do it manually. And manually, yes, does take longer, but at the end of the day, it does give you a backup system. You still need to know those backup systems. And unfortunately, people are like not in the right headspace to remember that stuff. How you doing, monkey? Nice to see you on there. Thanks for joining. Just talking about some AI stuff. So if you want to jump on, you can ask whatever questions. Um, so that being the case, with these automated systems, and just AI as a whole, just being the end all be all for a lot of people, that's not a good move. When you think about it, it just makes things a lot more difficult because now you're putting all the cards too in one person's pocket or in a series of different people's pockets, and it's usually only the people that are that have the funds. So we're talking multi-million dollar investors and stuff of that nature. So when I really think back, like even when our newest president was going into office, one thing that he did mention is that he's like, I want to put a lot of money behind AI, and that's scary. It's very, very scary. It's a very easy way to put people out of jobs. Artists are running scared right now because of this. They're nervous that their jobs are going to be um, in jeopardy. But that's not the way we need to look at it. We need to look at it from a flip side. Okay, AI is there. The reason why AI is becoming more popular is because it's gaining value. Okay, whereas before artists were valuable. I'm going to put a nice comparison. So back in the day when Disney first started, all of their stuff was all hand drawn animation. So really, when you saw like things like Lion King, when you saw Beauty and the Beast, those things and stuff before it as well, all hand drawn animation. Then slowly but surely, as things like Pixar came out, so we're talking like Toy Story, we're talking Bugs Life, stuff of that nature. Then they started to phase out this hand drawn animation stuff. Okay, the computer started becoming the norm. However, there were forward thinkers, be that their current CEO, that he was like, look, we still need to have this part of the design process. We had to need to have these people in place because it's important for the overall landscape of um, creating this animation. So one thing that you'll start noticing for Disney, a lot of their traditional designs and stuff of that nature are still being incorporated, but they're now skinned with this computer technology. So the feel of the character, the design of the character, the house style that they usually have in there is there based because they have this group of animators that started everything out, and they are still having their influence put into the animation that's being put in. So the techniques, the processes, those kind of things from the initial design are being thrown in there. And it's very important to have that. Now, there might not be a whole house, a whole development studio of, artisans that are drawing out every cell, every, panel, all that stuff. They might not have that. So the amount is not there. So we're talking like hundreds, if not, thousands of people that used to do that. Now we have computers in addition to some of those artists that are the professionals that have those skills. So now they're able to take that information and add it to the crop of people that are coming down the line. So that's important to have that. And Disney had to learn that lesson because even though they had great computers and technology was growing at that time back in like 95, 96, you would see there's this overabundance of animated movies that started coming out shortly thereafter. And what happened was you lost the quality of animation and you lost the quality of storytelling because they were too busy trying to use this new technology to make things easier instead of taking the two mediums and merging them together and making them strong together. That's where the problem is. So when we rely on something like an AI system, right? The problem is that you say, okay, I'm going to go into Chat GPT or I'm going to go into Copilot or whatever that system is that you might like. And I'm going to put my information in there. It's going to kick out something and I'm done. I'm going to submit that. Two problems with that. One, if you did not start off the initial writing, like at its core, it wasn't you, then you're running into a problem where you are literally taking bits and pieces from other people's stuff. So if, say, for example, I had this cover right here and I said, hey, I want you to draw Rocket Raccoon with two blasters in his hands, a cigar in his mouth, four guns. They must look like from this particular movie, blah, 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 right? It's pulling the way that AI works is it pulls from a whole bunch of different sources, right? So it is all derivative. It has to come from someplace. It can't create on its own. It has to come from someplace. Whereas, like, if you're a human, nothing against, how you doing, Cherry? Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. Um, Whereas with a human, we do have things in our head that we might use, but it's all us. It is all us, unless we deliberately copy something and use that. So there are some very big issues that people really need to think about as they are utilizing these things. I will tell you straight up, I am not against using AI systems. I think there is a benefit for it, but I will always go back to the main thing. It is a tool. It needs to be used as such. Your computer is a tool. But what if your computer goes down? What do you do? Do you freak out? Do you be like, okay, well, computer's down. Well, until I can get either my tech guy or girl in here, or I can figure out the problem, I'm going to have to go a different route. And that's the reality that we have to really think about. How much do you want to rely on your technology? All right. I was watching this this article, not article, I was watching this video um, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not going to say anything negative about a Tesla because I mean, I think some of the cars are nice, not all. I'm not going to say which one. But anyway, I think the vehicle is really in and of itself. It is a good piece of technology. However, I mean, like technology, it's got its bugs. Um, I have a friend of mine that had one, and the auto drive decided to act up and ended up causing an accident. But in this particular video that I was watching, it's husband and wife, and their car just decided to stop working. Okay. They had no way of getting their car to a dealer to get it fixed that was nearby. So whereas like you go like Toyota, you go to all these other companies, and most of them are relatively close, but the nearest one that they had was 150 miles away, right? And an electric car, especially those, you're kind of limited on what and who can mess with them, right? So they were stuck. So they had to get a tow truck, wait for the tow truck, get their car hooked up, and then ride it out all the way to the Tesla dealership. And this is while they're on vacation. And this is their car. This is not a rental. So as a car owner, I would be pretty pissed off if my car decided it wanted to go ahead and take a dump while I was on a trip. I'm not going to be in the best of moods. I would be frustrated. And I would definitely be having words with, the dealership and be like, hey, dude, this isn't cool. You cannot do this. We're going to have to figure something out because I'm not going through this again. You can figure out how to make these cars. You need to figure out a way to not let them do that. And the sad thing is, if your car, you know, is relying on a network, which a lot of these smart cars are, if that network goes down, you're screwed. You are screwed. So just keep in mind, I mean, when you're thinking about in the art space, and I'm not talking about the bigger space. So who else do I got in there? Kinetic Comics, hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining the cast. Um, I'm working on an Iceman right now, and this is my prompt for Inktober. For anybody that wanted to know what the heck it is I'm doing. Um, so at the end of the day, it's not a huge issue for me. I just I really just like to make sure that anybody that is, you know, really investing in this stuff, just remember that when you do, you are when you are investing in this particular um, software technology, that there are long-term effects to what you're doing. Okay, there's always long-term effects to making things easier, making things making technology a resource. Okay. I'm going to give one more example because I think examples are very important for people to really kind of drive home the point. So I used to work for a call center, and for those of you that are not familiar with how a call center works, it's basically a building with a whole bunch of people inside of it, and all they do is they take calls to either remedy problems um, or get you signed up with stuff to collect debts and stuff like that. Mine, thank God, was not the negative kind where they're trying to, hassle you for money or anything like that. That's not what we did. The one I worked for, we were a repair company and sales company, and in there. we would sell people computers, and obviously we would try to upsell them because it was a sales system, and that's how we made our commission and whatnot. Now, the problem that we ran into is as we were really starting to get going, this was just a little bit after, I would say, 2003. Um, During that time, a lot of companies decided that they wanted to start outsourcing their services. And when I say outsourcing, we're talking about um, finding companies outside, or even companies inside the United States that would pay a lot less, or they would charge a lot less for the services that we were doing. In most cases, they outsourced to foreign countries because obviously the regulations are a lot different in those countries to handle those kind of things. So anyway, what we were finding is that as we were going through with this company, and I'm being ambiguous about the company because I don't want to knock the company because I really did enjoy working for them. So let me put that out there now so that everybody knows. So as I was working for this company, they decided, hey, we're going to downsize our um, home bases, and we're going to get rid of a lot of our call centers. And slowly but surely, like in Florida, I believe at the time there was probably like four or maybe three different call centers for this company. And this company was growing very fast at the time. And they really relied on word of mouth. They relied on um, good quality sales. They relied on a good product. Um, the other big thing was is that they had the customer service part was one of their biggest attributes to the company. But when they decided to outsource, there was a couple things that happened. They would outsource to Indian nations, be it like India and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that, but let me just be very clear. There was a language barrier for a lot of those folks, even though they spoke English. I found that a lot of the customers that would call in would have a hard time, and they would call and be like, "I can't understand you. I need you to talk. I need to talk to somebody that speaks English in America." And that was kind of one. It's a little rude. Sorry, not little. It's a lot rude to the people that are taking those calls in because they are providing a service. But at, at the same time, it's a disservice to the customers. So because you want to be cheaper, you then outsource this stuff so that way you can save money altogether and make more money, right? I've never been a fan of that. I don't like it, and I prefer to have spoken to the systems that they had in place. But I also understand how business works. So they should have done one of two things: train their people better and make it easier for people to be able to understand them and not create this language barrier issue, or two, keep it stateside and figure out a way to make the cost more effective. Now, thank goodness over time that has happened. So that a lot of those ideas and principles were instituted. But the thing was is that now the jobs, and this is where America comes into play. Americans would be like, well, those people are taking our jobs. Well, they're not really taking your jobs. These companies are trying to save themselves money. And they said, okay, well, instead of paying you $20 an hour, I can find these folks over here, I can pay 10. So they save 50%. So from a business standpoint, I get it. So they're still employing the same amount of people, but at half the cost. Okay. So that from a business standpoint, it makes sense. And as businesses have, gained that resource, they have put money into making sure that the folks that are on the line, one, are extremely knowledgeable, which they already were from the get-go,
but two, also be able to reduce that language barrier issue. So the reason I bring this up is that um, as a company, they relied on something else to produce what they wanted. So they relied on a cheaper group of people to complete the job. So again, just like a automated system or an AI system, you're doing that. Now, let's push the needle a little further. So now, within this last 10 years, we have gone to automated systems. So now those folks that they now paid for that were $10 less an hour, now they're going to automated systems, which will probably cost them two-thirds of the cost of what they paid the people that they outsourced to. So they have now less people, like physical people in a call center. And a lot of people are doing this stuff from their homes or very small offices. And they pay for that small group of the human element and invest a lot more into the automated system, because the goal for the automated system is to kind of be this buffer. So they pump in as many questions as they can into the system, and they will um, try to deflect the ability to get to a human person. So whereas like we would call in and be like, okay, well, I'm going to call in and give me like 20 minutes and I'm going to talk to somebody and we'll get this stuff all square away. Nope, not doing that anymore. Now you got to go through a whole bunch of hoops. Hey, what's your name? What's your problem? All right, did this help you? No. Okay, let's try this. Did this help you? No. Okay, so we're going through all these hoops and hoops and hoops, even though the one thing that we just want to do is either pay our bill or get a solution to the problem that we're dealing with. And that's where the problem lies. They just didn't have the services in place to just help people out, and it made things a lot worse. I think automated systems are good to a point, but at the end of the day, you need to have something on there that says, "Hey, would you like to speak to a human person? If so, go ahead and hit this number here." Instead of like going through things 4 to 5 times, not having a direct number that I can call to other than an 800 number. I mean, I was just on the phone with a company the other day and I was like, hey, I need to, is there a number that I can call you directly at? And this is a guy that's trying to sell me something, right? And he's like, nope, you just got to call the number and hopefully you'll get me. I was like, what are the odds that I'm going to get you? Not really strong. That's not really a good look, so to speak. So at the end of the day, and I know I'm just going on this soapbox, but I just as an artist, as somebody that really cares about art and really likes, hey Lily, how you doing? That really loves this medium. I don't want to see it go away because we're being cheap. Art and design is important because it makes you think. You have to work to to create good stuff. Okay. And you have to work hard to create something that's very lasting. And more so in the market that we're in right now, it's hard. It's super duper hard. People's attention span is like that of a gnat. And we've been pushed this by the things that we use on a daily basis. Things like Instagram and things like Facebook have made us, they've kind of like molded us into not being patient. On demand services don't make you patient. They really don't. You know, I wish like some of the kids that are out here now could go through the days of having a show that wasn't on demand. having a video game where there is no save, they would lose their damn mind. You know why I say that? Because when I was that kid, I lost my damn mind. Going through the process of not having autosaves when you're doing a project, using a typewriter and screwing up when you're typing and having to correct that. These are things that really make you better. But we want to completely, remove those hurdles. And I don't think that's good. That's why it's so easy nowadays. Like I even spoke to a fellow instructor. This was crazy the other day. So we were talking about computers. Now, I come from the days when we used to have a store that we called Radio Shack. So at Radio Shack, it was the place where people that wanted to fix stuff, they would go there, buy the parts, bring them home, fix the stuff, and it worked. All right. So yes, there would have been some built-in obsolescence, but that being the case, you would figure out what that problem was, whether it be a diode, whether it be a circuit, any of that stuff. You'd fix it. You would save yourself a ton of money and keep on rolling. Okay. Now we're in this system where we'll just say, for example, like a phone. Your phone breaks, like you bust your screen. You're like, hey, AT&T, T-Mobile, whoever. Hey, I busted my phone. I need a new one. Or you'll go up to the store and you'll be like, hey, I busted my phone. I need a new phone. Okay, well, that's going to cost you X amount of dollars. Let's get you going. Boom, you're out the door. All right. So let's just say, for example, you bust your phone. It's going to cost you between $100 to $150 to get it fixed, or $100 to $200 to use your insurance. Whereas if you were to buy that product, look up how to reinstall it, you could literally save yourself hundreds, if not, I'm sorry, not hundreds. We'll say between 50 to $120. And all it would take is just your time of learning how to do that, how to fix that product. Okay. So bringing us back full circle. So when I spoke to this instructor, he's like, I got this computer. I got to go buy a new one. The screen busted on it. He's like, I love my computer. It's really not that old, but I just got to go and get a new one. I'm like, how old is it? He's like, it's a couple of years old. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why would you buy a new one? He's like, it's broken. The screen's busted. It's got this little black, thing coming down the side of it. I'm like, you can replace that screen, right? He's like, you can't? I'm like, yes, absolutely. You know what? I can do that. If you want me to go ahead and fix it for you, all you got to do is buy the screen and I'll go ahead and install it for you. And I can actually even give you the part number and everything. You just give me the computer and I'll find it for you. And the guy was like, really? I'm like, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Why would you want to get rid of something that you like that does the trick for you? And the only issue is that it's a computer issue. Like it's a part issue. And the thing is that stores like Radio Shack only went out of business because people got lazy. They really did get lazy, and it's because the fact was is they still were selling TVs and stuff like that. They couldn't compete like on a Best Buy level because Best Buy was doing what they were doing as far as selling products. So they would sell cars, they would sell TVs, VCRs, all that stuff. Um, Best Buy would sell movies, and so would Circuit City. So those two companies were above them, and then Walmart started really kicking in. And the reason Radio Shack went out of business at their core, it wasn't about selling all these little TVs and radios and all this stuff and all these services. It was about, hey, we've got this hometown feel. We are the parts shop. That's what we sell. So if you needed batteries for your phone, you need batteries for your TV, you needed to have like your wash repaired, you needed cords and all that kind of stuff. That's the place you went, and it was that store was awesome. If you needed a training ground to learn how to do sales and a training ground to learn how to make stuff work, that was the spot. I mean, that's where I cut my teeth. My dad, thank God, got me a job there. Um, it wasn't my first place to go to that I really want. Sorry, let me take it back. It wasn't the first place I wanted to go to, but it was a good opportunity because it built standards for me, and I like that. Who do we got in there? Anime, how you doing today? Nice to see you on there. I'm just spitballing and talking about what it would be like if we did not have a place like, or if we didn't have like on-demand services. Could you imagine that? I'm not sure how old you are, but I was saying that if we had a point in time where we had no, oh, you're 23, perfect. You're a good example, so that's perfect. How you doing, Frost? I was saying like if people were to have no autosaves on their video games nowadays, they would lose their minds. I'm doing pretty good, Frost. Yourself? By the way, I love your little avatar picture there. No problem. I wish I had my tablet available. I would show you the rogue that I did for uh, this Inktober piece. And by the way, since you guys are on here, Inktober is going on. I'm not doing the traditional one. I'm doing the X-Men one. What kind of stuff do you draw? I have to check you out. I got my phone. I'm going to check it out right now. Do you have an Instagram at all, or is your stuff here on Whatnot? Blue Sky. I'm not familiar with that. Let me take a look at that. See what that is. Blue Sky. Well, here's the deal. I have a bunch of different options for commissions. Um, let me see here what I have up on. Let me see. Let me check. It's been a while since I've gone to my shop. I'll be completely honest with you. When I do this, I typically am just on here like chatting it up. Let me see. I'll tell you right now what my commissions are. Yeah, because I have a couple different ones. Are you looking to have something like a full size piece? Because I can do up to like an 11 by 17 piece. Those I have available. Do I not have it on here? That's weird. Hang on, let me see what's active here. Oh, I know why. Okay, let me go back here. I gotta reactivate this product. Let me go here. All right, let me tell you what I have available. I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me go here. Which version of Rogue would you prefer? Classic yellow and green. Okay. So we're talking like the 90s style one. Okay. All right. So I have a 9 by 12, which will be a little bit bigger than this. That one you can get in color, and that one goes for 80 bucks. I also have a series of different sketch covers as well. I think I have one in here. So just kind of give you an idea. This is like a taste of the kind of stuff that I've been up to. Because what I'll do is this: if you decide you want to do that, I'll put you on my list for tomorrow, and I'll just do yours live here on Whatnot. If that's something you want to do, and I'll just see what I got here. Try to see if I have another X-Men one. If not, if you want an X-Men cover, would you prefer like a sketch cover, or would you prefer like a 9x12? Let me go in here. I can do a 9x13. I'll still give it to you for the same price if you want to do that. Let me put that up there now. I'll put it in the inventory right now. Let's see. Don't want that. All right, let me go ahead and put that up there now, so that way we have that available for you. So while we're talking right now, do you on this web or this site where you have your anime stuff? What is the username so I can kind of check out your stuff? I'm curious what you have available. Let's see. Oh, this is what I wanted. Let's see. So I'll do it this way because my phone's a lot faster. Yeah, I would love to see what you do because I am curious. I always like seeing people that do stuff that I don't do. Oh, Frost, I'm asking. Let me see here. Oh, Frost, I'm asking if you do some stuff and where I can find your stuff. Let me go here. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Oh, I'm definitely checking that out as soon as I get this all up here, for sure. Okay, so we're gonna give you convert my items and okay, you pick. Let's see, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I would say this. I mean, anytime that you're drawing, it's always great to post, even if it's just a whip, you know. I tell because I teach a lot of stuff, I tell people post your stuff up there because it's always good for you to see it because you'll be like, man, I really like that idea. Let me go and revisit that because you might put the art away and you never remember where the heck you put it. All right, so put that on there, and let's get this quantity up here. Cool. And all right, so the product is up there for you, Frost. So if you want to go ahead and do that, like I said, it's there. You can do the purchase for it, and I will draw that one tomorrow, so that way you can kind of see what's up. So if you want to join the cast for that, that'd be kind of cool. Let's see here. So I want to show you. I don't know if I have her on here, but I'm going to see if I do or not because I just did Rogue. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I do your Rogue, I'm going to do yours better because I'll have more time. Let's see if I have her on here. Is she here? Oh, I do have her. There she is. So there's the Rogue from the other day. Yours will be even better than that one. So that. So yours will be kind of like on this level, like this guy, or this. Like it's gonna be like really throw. I'm gonna throw down on it. So here's the thing: when I'm just doing stuff for myself, like it's free drawing stuff like this. This is more just my hey, let me just have some fun, draw up some stuff. Let's see what we can come up with. But I much prefer to do commissions because I feel like the pressure's on. So if the pressure's on, I'm like, I'm really going to show out because I want you to have something that's gonna make you happy, right? You look at it and you're like, damn, I love that. Let me check out this Instagram handle. I want to see what you got here. Give you some kudos. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. All right, so it's going to be Art by Frost. Love it. By Frost. Oh, hold on. Let me see where it is. Let me see where I can. So sorry about that. Let me pull it up here. Let me pull up my inventory. Where are you? So if you're looking at the inventory, it should look like this guy right here. That 9x12. Should have a picture of Sabretooth on it. And I'm gonna go ahead and add it to today's cast. Let me put that on there so that makes it a little easier for you to find it. Whoops, too far. Inventory. Let's put it on the cast here. Boom. Add to the show. Oops. Gotta make sure it's on the right show. There we go. All right, let me put it on there now. All right, it should be in that inventory now. So you should be able to see it. So let me know if it popped up for you or not. Yeah, it's on there. I just saw it. Cool deal. All right, so I'll get on that. Like I said, I'm going to do that one tomorrow. tonight I'm just gonna kind of come up with a couple of different ideas for her. So I just want to make sure we're doing the classic one, kind of like your avatar that you have there. So like the '90s style of rogue. Let me. All right. Art. 14007. Okay. Cool. This is good stuff. So we gotta get you. Yeah, you definitely got to post more. I would love to see some of this stuff. I can definitely say that I can see the passion is definitely in Rogue. Because out of all of the characters that you have on here, Rogue has the best, like, I would say, even just like emotions. The inking is the best on this one. Not that the others don't have it, but that one definitely you can tell when people favor certain things that you can see that they're that they push that a lot. So like I got a friend of mine at a comic book shop. He um he runs the comic book shop. So he goes to me, he goes, "Hey, I got this cover I want you to do." And he goes, "Have you ever heard of Battle Beast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard of Battle Beast. Yeah, he's from Invincible, right?" He goes like, "Yeah, yeah, he's a dope character." And they just came out with the book for Battle Beast. And I'm like, "What?" So I'd heard rumor, but I hadn't seen anything. So he had a blank sketch cover for me, and he was like, "I want you to draw Battle Beast on that cover for me." And I was like, "Let's go." The reason that he did that is because he knows like the bigger characters. That's like that's my sweet spot. I love drawing like monstrous looking guys. Let me see if I have him here. So like um, when you see the saber tooth, which I still haven't posted yet, I still got to post this guy. So I just like him because he's just like this massive person that's just about to go ahead and inflict some pain. So he's fun to draw. Who else is another one? Um, what's the other piece that I did? So like I had a good time drawing Wolverine because this is the other one that I did. So they're kind of like in the same fashion. So that, I mean that's my thing. Like I had fun drawing her. Like I love drawing cool weapons. So, like messing all that up. But the more powerful a person, the better. That's what I prefer that. It's the better way to go. I don't. I am very thankful that you picked Rogue. I don't get a lot of people that ask for female characters. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because a lot of people see me drawing, like Deadpool and Wolverine, and they kind of look at it and they're like, "Hey, this person tends to lean more towards that." But I think I just need to broaden my horizons. But I would prefer to have more female-based characters. Yeah, I think what the problem is for me is that because I don't draw those, that's why a lot of people don't pick me for it. I'm pretty sure of it because think about it, like okay, so we have this one, right? Got something like this, like a Rocket Raccoon. See, all like male based characters, even this one, right? All male based characters. I mean, even the Transformers, you know. And I think because people see that I do that, that's my shtick. They don't think I can do a female character. So yes, I do have to work a lot harder to do it. Um, So I just have to do it more often because when I do it, I can add my spin on it, and I tend to think that it looks a lot better when I do it. So I'm absolutely looking forward to throwing down on this piece, and I have to thank you. I mean, I know it, and I know this is like a sales thing on whatnot, and I'm not trying to throw you a pitch or anything like that. I just want you to know I'm very thankful that you did pick something that's not in my wheelhouse of stuff that I typically do because it does give me a lot of challenge. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing and getting your feedback on it. I really, once you get it, please just let me know what you think. So I got to ask you a question, Frost. How long have you been here on Whatnot, and what brings you to Whatnot? Okay. So do you sell on Whatnot, or do you just is it just a community thing? Oh, really? Okay. All right. Are you a fan of like the Jim Lee cards at all? You got to. If you don't have a set of those, man, I'm telling you, you need to get a set. It's they're worth it. It's my favorite card set from Marvel. All right, so since you're on here and since you're a fan of sketch cards, I'm going to give you a little heads up. Let me grab something real quick here so I can show you this. Okay, so I did something, and I'm going to be doing like an ongoing thing with this. Okay, so do you remember this style right here? Have you ever seen this? As far as like the card layout, all right. This is my favorite Marvel set out. I mean, in addition to the X-Men set that Jim Lee did. So this is from the second series that they did of Marvel cards. Just chef's kiss on all of it because of all the different artists and whatnot. So I went ahead and I did my version of that, put in my company colors and all that kind of good stuff, my logo and all that. So something that I've only told a couple of people, and it's been popping up here on Whatnot, is that I am doing a series of 1,000 sketch cards. So we're going to do it in different waves. So I'm doing a wave up, road to 100. Then we're going to do a road to 200, and so on and so forth. Here's the deal. It's going to be 100 of a specific category. So I will have a Marvel category. I will have a DC. I'm going to do Image. I'm doing video games, movie characters. There's a couple other ones that I'm doing. Right now, I have a couple of people gathering lists for me to really make this happen because I don't really want to go on chat and all that kind of good stuff to get it. I have some specific people that love all of this, and they are definitely going to help me out to make it happen. So they're going to be original sketch cards, just like what you get right now. So the cards I used to do were stuff like this. So like that. So these are little things that I did a while ago, like a long time ago. These are newer versions of stuff, like even Aang from from what is that? Airbender. How you doing, Swirl? So I decided that I want to do the 1,000. My goal is just to do 1,000 cards. I don't know why I'm just so crazy to do that. Man, I'm doing this Thursday and Friday. That's the new thing. I'm gonna try not to do the Wednesdays unless I really really have to, or my where I have my room set up for it. Sometimes it's not available, so I just gotta um, do it on Thursdays. But I'm definitely gonna be here on Thursdays and Fridays because it's the best time to do it. Um, so the road to 1,000 is just some number that I decided to do because I'm crazy. I did this size card here, and I was able to pull off I think 750. And that was during COVID. So the goal behind that was I had a comic book store I worked with, and what they would do is that they would give out these drawings to anybody that did an order of $25 or more. So for me, I did it more so because I had a loyalty to my comic book shop, and I didn't want my comic book shop to fail. So if my art ended up in their hands and they wanted to buy more issues and more, comics and stuff like that, and it was just so that they could get these cards, I was doing it. And I did everything. Like I did like Sora, I did Sonic, I did Shadow. I mean, there were so many different cards that I had a chance to do, but it was so much fun. So with this, I really want to push what I can do. I usually don't work on a small medium like that, but I think sketch cards are good in the fact that one, you can put them in sleeves. So they're every card that anybody gets, they're going to get a sleeve with it. Not the cheap flimsy one. You guys get the nice, plastic ones, right? Um, they I don't have to use as much material, so I don't have to use as much ink. I don't have to use, you know, all the little tricks, and you're limited on the amount of stuff you can do. But also, I want to do a couple of the ones where you're able to combine them. So you know how like on the X-Men one, Jim Lee did the Danger Room scene. So I want to be able to do that where I can have all of them connect and do stuff like that. I've always loved being able to have those booklets of just cards and looking at them. It's much easier to collect those than it is to do um, like a whole bunch of prints. You can't. It's really hard to display prints. I can put up one book and I could have like 100 different cards in there. And it's way better from a whole bunch of different people and also a whole bunch of different characters. I know people like yourself, that love a specific character, and they'll bring out their booklets and they'll have like, 10 or 11 of the same exact character, but done by a variety of different artists. I think that's really cool. Much easier than carrying one of those big, like 11 by 17 binders that are limited to about 48 pieces. So I really prefer that. Uh, well, I would say this. My buddy Swirl that's on here right now, Swirl actually did something that you did. He's really big into some of the classic characters, and he did The Question and Blue Beetle. And I thought that thing came out super cool. Trust me, I mean, if you want, you can go on my Instagram. I mean, I have a bunch of different characters on there. Um, so I'm always pushing. And like I said, this month is all X-Men as far as Inktober goes. So you can go on there and you'll be able to see all the different little X-Men characters that I've done, minus the ones that are for this week, but I'm going to post those hopefully later today. I have like, there's a Wolverine that's going to be posted. The Rogue is going to be on there. Um, this guy named Bastion, Sabretooth. I will do a White Queen. I just haven't done her. And then this one will be up on there as well. But the cool part about all those is that the ones that are done digitally, they come with a video, so you can actually, if you're also looking to learn techniques and stuff like that for drawing, all that stuff's on there too. All right, so I already know that you like Rogue. Who are some of the other characters that you like in the lexicon of just characters? Because I'm trying. My goal is because I asked for a while ago, actually last week, some of the characters that he liked, and I'm just trying to get some of those. So those can be some of my first ones that I can do. So what are some of the characters that you like? Put the put the follow. Boom. I'll definitely follow you on that one. All right. So what are the other ones? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see on here. All right. Okay. So you like the strong female characters. Okay. All right. So we got to know if you like Storm, which version of Storm do you like? Tells a lot about the person. Also, like helps with age too. I'm gonna be honest with you. My favorite is definitely Mohawk. Absolutely. Yeah, I will say that the Crown version is pretty dope. Um, I will say with Storm, if you guys have ever seen What If, like the new What If, she's like the best looking character in that series in season three. She's incredibly awesome. It looks like something that came out of this Rivals game that they had come out. So cool. What else you got there? You know what? I hate to be this person, but I only made it through the first two episodes of um that X-Men 97. Is it good? Really? Yeah, I just maybe it's just because I didn't make it through the first couple episodes. That's probably why. Because for me, if the show doesn't hook me in the first couple episodes, I'm not about it. Like I will just shut it down. Case in point, like what if I hadn't seen the first season, like if somebody said, "Hey, watch What If season three," I'd have been like, "I'm done with this show. This show sucks." Because What If season three, What If season two, they might have had a couple things that were good in there, but yeah, I season one was again Chef's Kiss great. Um, yes, I love me some Gambit. Gambit's one of my favorite characters of all time. I mean, I'll give you a case in point. Let me go here, and I'll show you why. So years ago, I had a really good friend of mine that was like, "Dude, I need you to draw me a Gambit," and I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So my buddy, he asked me, and I'm like, "Okay, well, you know what? Let's go. So that was the Gambit that I got a chance to do. Yeah, that was my baby. He is when I got to do that, I wanted to have something that when I could look at, I'm like, one, it the colors are dope. The the sensibilities of Gambit are all there. And that's what I really wanted to showcase. Let me see what I can do about that. I'll see what I can do. I'll see if I can pull one out of the stock. I may have one or two left. Yeah, that's. I mean, he is. I think when I saw Gambit the first time, it was in. I wouldn't even say X Men One. It had been before that. It was when Jim Lee was doing Uncanny X Men. I saw him, and just looking at the way that he designed that character, I wouldn't even say design. The way that he made the character move, for me, that was amazing. The other person that really made me love him was Joe Mad. Whenever he drew him, I was like, oh man, he gave him passion versus just the action. Well, you know what? I could see that. I can see how people from the South definitely would because I'm an '80s kid, so um, I gained like super knowledge of that character and that group, and I was all 90 like in '90s it was all about X everything. So we're talking X Men, X Force, Excalibur, all of that. Yeah, he was definitely one of the ones I was really in tune to. Plus, I mean, he was Cajun and he had red freaking eyes. That was dope. He's a little bit jerky, very cocky. Yeah, that's true. I mean, honestly, and this is what pisses me off. I wouldn't even say pisses me off. It just annoys me. So, in Deadpool Wolverine, where they brought Channing Tatum in to be Wolverine or to be Gambit, I wish that they had not. I wish they had gone back and gotten Tyler Kitsch to be him again because he was perfect for that role. I will never take credit away from Channing Tatum, but for that role, Tyler Kitsch was made for that one. And I would say even more now, he would be better for that role. Yeah, agree. And the reason why I mean I will fight somebody for this because Tyler Kitsch, if you watched him in his latest series that he did, which was the Terminal List, which is a prequel to it's called like Dark Wolf. Um, if you watch that character, he embodies Gambit in that series. Like that complete, he wants to be a good guy, but he's a complete like jerk, and he will do whatever it takes to get his way, kind of thing. It was big misstep. Maybe I'll get my way in Doomsday. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first person to say when I saw Wolverine Origins, it wasn't the best movie. There were certain pieces of it that were really good. I mean, Hugh Jackman, of course, was the man. Man, I'm not gonna lie. Days of Future Past is probably one of my favorite X-Men movies of all time. I really enjoyed um, First Class. Um, I enjoyed Part Two, but Days of Future Past, I enjoy more so because with it when I can go back to a movie and it comes on and I watch it and I can't stop, that's a plus movie for me. And it Logan was important to that movie. He was really good, but I think the way that they developed the entire story across the board was really cool. As far as like, even Mystique's character was very well thought of throughout the story. Um, what's his name? Magneto's character. Everything about that, and being the fact that it was a time period piece, that for me was cool. I love that. Well, I'm not a 60s person. Never have been. But I love the 60s. I love the 70s. I love time period pieces. And that particular movie, being the fact it was during that period of time when we were dealing with war issues and stuff of that nature, I love that. I thought that was really cool. The fact that we were coming up with a system to destroy mutants, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I wish Bryan Singer had definitely continued doing his movies like that, but he had his own issues, so we weren't able to see another movie like that again. Well, that's the thing. That director, um, he just, yeah, agreed. Well, Deadpool, I will not knock Deadpool because I think Deadpool was the thing that saved the X Men universe. I really fit like I don't think Fox knew how to really deal with X Men. Like their people didn't know how to tell stories. I think they had some people in place that kind of did, but long term they weren't thinking long term. They were thinking about, okay, I want to make this movie. Let's make a movie. Right. It was more that mentality instead of looking at it from a grander scale. When it was now that it's being put into the hands of Marvel, and Marvel now is going back to their old ways of development, and they're looking at, okay, well, we have this mutant verse that we're about to go ahead and unleash onto the world. Let's really throw down. And I think when they went ahead and did Deadpool, and I think this is where they're going to do it. Deadpool was basically their send off movie for that character. So we got everything that we had. We have a nice little arc for Deadpool. If he shows up, good. If he doesn't, no big deal. We're going to start fresh. Okay. And I think that's a smart move for Marvel because there's so many other stories we can tell and we can dig deeper into these characters other than just Wolverine. Because remember, the way that they set it up is that they had all of these X-Men movies, but at the end of the day, it was all about Wolverine. And he was the only saving grace to that series because the X Men movies couldn't do anything without him. That's why they brought him back in Days of Future Past. That's why they brought him back in the um, the one before First Class. People wanted to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Now, in the hands of Marvel, the one thing that they're really good at is making their characters important. And I feel like with this new positioning that they're doing and getting away from whatever hell that they went through during that COVID period of time and this last multiverse era, I think now they're starting to realize, okay, well, we need to make these characters important to people. We need to make people be like, I need to have a statue of this. I need to make it so, like, even yourself right now, why is Rogue important to you? Why do I connect with that person? Why do I like a Gambit and stuff like that? And I know when we get our X-Men movie in 2027, we're going to get something that we've been wanting to see for a while. As viewers, I am excited. Like, I am super stoked to see what they're going to pull off. Being able to see Beast in the in Marvels was awesome, and I didn't even see him more than like a couple seconds. Um, I will say this: I care about Marvel. I fell off after Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was my last one. I was like, yes, let's go. I see where you're going to go because that was the one right after we saw Spider-Man. I saw Thunderbolts. I was super excited about Thunderbolts because I'm like, all right, I don't have to deal with these characters that I know that they're fumbling with. I hated Thor, Love and Thunder. I very much disliked the Marvels, Ant Man and Quantum Universe. That let's not even talk about that. But for me, Thunderbolts was just a fun ride from some B characters. I really like Black Widow's sister. I really like Red Guardian, and I wish they'd done more with it, but I could kind of see where they're going with it. I did not like who was it? Sentry. I think it was used wrong, and that whole character doesn't make sense to me. So that kind of fell off for me. Um, but Thunderbolts was okay. I'd give it like a nice like B minus B somewhere in there. But Fantastic Four was the one I was waiting for. Fantastic Four hasn't been good in any of the incarnations I've seen. Like none. I think it was good for its time, but it's not good. Let's be honest. The theory of having, Silver Surfer, that was dope. You know, I loved Chris Evans as um, Johnny Storm. He was fun, but as far as like a story, it was kind of boo hoo. But the Fantastic Four movie, they delivered in every capacity that I wanted to see. I was concerned about Galactus. That was my biggest concern out of the whole thing because I'm like, okay, so you have Galactus. He's a world eater, right? But they made him make sense. How does this world eater show up on Earth and not just destroy the world? Well, he's not bigger than a planet. He is actually 30 feet tall and he flies around on this chair. It was smart. It was well thought through. They had great characters, and it was a good starting point. And the biggest piece of this is that it had zero to do with any of the other Marvel stuff in there. It was an independent story. The only link to it was that we had a character in there that um, that we eventually know is going to be the Tony Stark character, or I should say, just the Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. That's the only link to that story, and I'm okay with that. You need to be able to have things, just like you said, an individual story. You need to have stories that don't hinge on something else. Like if I go in there and I look at Captain America, right? And even when I go to Captain America Winter Soldier, now those two connect only because it's a Captain America story, right? But it doesn't it doesn't go up into this bigger universe, which for me, if you don't do things right, it doesn't pay off. And they need to go back and look at the formula that they used for Infinity Wars or the Infinity War saga and be like, okay, how do we make that but step it up? Multiverse doesn't work. Yeah, it is the best trilogy that they made. 100%. 100%. I mean, the trilogy. Yeah, I'm glad you said trilogy because that last one was a piece of crap. Um, the man, I don't know. I might have to differ on you. That Civil War one is my favorite out of all the Marvel movies. It is my favorite one. Look, I think that there's a masterclass in those two movies. Um, I think from the fact that, and here's, I think this is why they're so good. When you go to Winter Soldier, you can actually feel for the Bucky character, even though Bucky is bad, right? He's done a lot of bad things. You feel for him, and you feel more for Cap in that movie, and then you feel more for Bucky in the second movie, and then you also feel for um, Tony Stark in the third movie. And there's so much depth in there. Like I can turn on Winter Soldier and I can turn on Civil War, and I will not turn them off until they are done. There's not a part in either of those movies that I'm just like, this sucks. Every bit of that was so well thought of, and they gave so much care to every character that was in there, even if they had a small role. Yeah, I mean that's one of the again that's one of my things. Like when I think of this new mutant saga that they're going with, they can actually focus on characters. And when we look at the multiverse, the problem with multiverse is that you can fix things by going into another universe. That's not a way of fixing things. You have to have consequences. There's no value if you don't have a consequence. If you found out, you know, Captain America gets killed, he's dead. Like he's dead, dead. But in a multiverse, you can be like, oh, I'm going to grab this Captain America from this world, right? And that's just not the way to do it. That's not how you fix problems. You got to have consequence. You build people up, and then you take them out. That's why when Black Widow died, it was like huge. You know, the whole thing with the snap that was huge because they built value into every one of those characters. Spider-Man had only been seen what in one movie, two movies, and because he was such a cool Spider-Man, I literally saw people crying in the movie theater when that crap happened. So when they brought him back in the end game, like I even got a little choked up in the end when they brought him back to the portals. I was like, oh my god, I was like, that was huge. And again, because they built value in those characters, when Captain America did his Avengers Assemble, I've never been in a theater before when I have felt the rumble of a group of people. Like the amount of yelling that went on in my theater was insane. Yeah, I thought it was, you know, when I saw that Captain America had Mjolnir, that was one thing. Like people obviously, were like, yes, but again, because they built the value up, and we're not just talking one character. We're talking you got to see Spider-Man come back, you got to see T'Challa come back. I just thinking about it now is just kind of like, whew. Um, but every one of those characters were important. And I can't tell you right now in Marvel who I really like other than Shang-Chi. Like he's out of everything that's come out of this series that's come out now, even stuff that's been on Disney Plus. The only person I can say I really like is Shang-Chi. That's it. That's the only one I can say. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like the Spider-Man stuff, and I'm not even talking from the Marvel side. I'm just talking about in the movies in general. Um, the last Spider-Man movie that I would say was good, that was really good, in my opinion, was not the one that Marvel did. It was the one that Sony did. That Across the Spider-Verse movie. That movie was you talk about something that was insane and a chef's kiss. Like we're not just talking um we're not just talking from a story base. We're talking just visually, it was amazing. Now, because I do a lot of graphic design and whatnot, I looked at their media campaign. I looked at their marketing campaign, brochures, their posters, all of that stuff. It's probably some of the best work I've ever seen out of a studio because they understood the assignment. They took great art, great visuals. They took a great movie and they made it into a piece of art that's a movie, a 2 hour movie of art. And I'm not talking about, we're not talking about like a directorial piece. We're talking like visual art. I could literally take every a scene out of any one of the at any part of that movie, and I could crop it, print it out, and put it on my wall. Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm a little annoyed at Sony right now because Sony set me up, and I'm not just talking me. I'm talking other people. They never should have announced that they were going to have these back-to-back movies within 6 months of each other. Never should have said it because you already set yourself up for failure if you push people so hard for the first one, right? Um, they set a very high bar with that Across the Spider Verse. So this next one is gonna have to be the killer of killers. Like it's got to be that good. So my hope is that when they release this third one, because they've had such a gap, maybe they have fixed a lot of the processes and said, okay, look, we can't have a lot of these artists working these insane hours just to get to the finish line. We need to give them the time to get this job done. And hopefully, with all that, they can really bring this evil Miles Morales to life and make us be like, hey, that all that crap that you did, making us wait for almost 5 years to see the next movie, that's all forgiven. They say like winning cures all, right? So if they knock one out of the park, which hopefully they do, then we should be good. And the same thing with Marvel. I mean, if Doomsday is good, if Doomsday is good, it doesn't even have to be great. It just has to be good. Okay? Because that's where my mark is. Like I have my expectations tempered. So I'm sitting at like a 6 or a 7. If they can hit that, we're in good shape. If it exceeds that, we're good. I mean, I will give you the dollars. I will give you the money. Here's my wallet. I'm going to go see that movie multiple times. I think I saw Infinity War 9 times. I saw Endgame, I think 4. So um, it's just that they have to knock these things out of the park. Um, I know with Marvel and also with Sony is that when I look at their products, they know that the fans are clamoring for something really good. They do have um, source material that is fantastic that they can work from. I don't know how the Across the Spider Verse one is going to work out, but I know like with the Doomsday one, they have material that's already out there that already has a bar, so they can use that to springboard off of and really make something good, super good. Um, Now, here's the thing that's also cool about the new Doomsday thing that they're thinking of, and this is rumor. I don't know if this is going to happen, but some people are speculating that we're going to get 3 Avengers movies instead of 2. I'm curious if that's going to happen. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be mad about it if that happens. Let's just say the Super Bowl is going to be the most important time for Marvel ever. Well, here's the thing. I agree with you. I agree. There are a ton of characters. Now, here's the beautiful thing about having a Doomsday. When you have Doctor Doom there and he's going against those people, it's because he's such a powerful character. Guess what? He can wipe the slate clean and take them all out. Anybody that's not important, that doesn't serve a purpose, you're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. You know, he's that powerful of a character. So I think that they will keep what's important and clear the slate for new things to come. I agree with you. I don't feel like there's a lot of valuable people that they need to keep in this universe. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think with Doomsday, they're going to correct a lot of the mistakes that they rushed into before. The good thing is that also like characters that they presented, they don't have to ever show again. Especially like when we think about characters from the um, what is it from Disney Plus. So when we think about characters like Moon Knight or um, Echo and She Hulk, we don't have to present them. Or even if they show like a She Hulk, they can show like they did on the like sketches that came out, the ones that were supposedly leaked. They can just show her in a capacity where she's on a world of Hulks, so she's not really that important, but she still pops in. However, Moon Knight, unless Moon Knight's really important to the story, we can just be like, okay, Moon Knight, you're not going to be in here. We don't need to show you. You're not important to this. You're not going to push the story, so it's not important to have you in there. Um, so I could see how they could change some stuff up, and it would make sense. And I hope that they do. I really do. Um, but I just want to see how they're going to clean the slate, how they're going to set things up for the next saga. And like I said, the Super Bowl is going to be where we are going to get our first glimpse of where things are about to go. Like that trailer that comes out at Super Bowl, and people are going to probably say, "No, it's going to come out before." Hell no, that's not going to happen. It's not going to come out before the Super Bowl. The thing with Marvel is that they need the most amount of eyes that they can to say, you need to check this out. And the biggest slate, the biggest platform for Marvel to show their shit is going to be at the Super Bowl. There will not be a spot for less eyes. And if the trailer shows up before the Super Bowl, I'll be shocked. It's going to show up at the Super Bowl during the Super Bowl, so that way people can go on repeat during the halftime show. That some people that are griping about they can go watch that instead, right? Or in addition to. So that is going to be the platform where you, myself, other people that love comic book movies, great stories, are going to see where Marvel is going to take us. And the speculation train is going to start there in February and will not end until we get to November. Next December is going to be something that people have been looking forward to for so long. I mean, I have been wanting to see Doomsday since they made the announcement when Robert Downey came up there. That let me know that Marvel is trusting an idea that surpasses what they originally were going to do. For me, that's great. I love that. I really, really love that. Oh wow, it's almost 11:30. Shoot. So that's what happens when I get on my talking spiel. um, yeah, I think it's going to be next year is going to be a great year. 2026 is going to be the year of movies that for comics and stuff like that that we haven't seen in quite a while. I mean, we get a Supergirl movie next year. We haven't had a Supergirl movie since the 80s. And that one wasn't good. It was all right, but it wasn't good. I mean, we've had other Supergirls pop up, and they've been pretty cool. Smallville, Supergirl, the TV series, you know, the animated version of her in the Superman show, in Justice League. Those versions were good. I'll take those. I won't kick those at all. Well, this is how I would look at this, Frost. Don't go into Doomsday thinking it's going to be, awesome. I definitely would tell you put your expectations at a modest level, because that way, if you go in there like hyping it up and be like, "This is all going to happen," blah blah blah, and you get disappointed, it's going to suck. Like, I don't go into any Marvel movie anymore being like, "This is going to be awesome." I don't have that feeling anymore. I really do not. I have not had that feeling in quite a while. However, if I go in there and I'm like, okay, well, as long as they give me at least a 6, I'm good. That. But I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to the Russo brothers, I think if they have the right people in place, they are going to do really well. So, like, they have the original writers from Endgame, and they also have Kevin Feige. So we have the Russo brothers, the original writer from Endgame, and whatnot. I feel and firmly believe, because we have that team together, we're going to end up with something good. I think the problem that we ran into with the Russo brothers going off and working with their writer from Avengers, they didn't have Kevin Feige to kind of steer the ship for that. What is that movie that they just came out with? Something City, Atomic City, I think it was called. Let me see. Where are you? Let me see. I know it's got Millie Bobby Brown in it. I love Death and Robots. Hell, Electric City. That's Electric State. That's what it was. Electric State. So because they did not have Kevin Feige in there to do that, I feel like that was a missed opportunity for them to make something really good. And I think they have to have enough of the right people in place to really make things pop off. And I think Kevin Feige knows the Russo brothers enough to say, hey, look, um, I know you guys are great directors. I've hired you on to do this job. However, we can't do all of these things because they don't make sense for the story. I think if Kevin Feige does what he does, and I now look at him now that he is able to steer the ship that he needs to steer, and he's able to focus. I know that we're going to get something good. I know it. I have really, really strong opinion on that. When he was stretched too far, like they had too many projects going on. I love the idea that they wanted to do all of these things, but in my head, I was like, this is a lot. How do we make it all come together? And there was no easy solution to do that. Like you couldn't and make it right. And obviously that made sense because once they went ahead and started doing all these little different projects on the side, um, Marvel just didn't make any sense. You know, I would have loved to seen a an R-rated version of Moon Knight doing what he does, crushing skulls and all that kind of good stuff. I mean, I would have loved that. But they went for the psychological piece, which is fine. I thought that was a good idea too. But then it went off into like this mystical thing where, you know, they're showing the gods fighting against each other. I'm like, dude, come on. This is stupid. You know, it just has to make sense. Just don't go off the rails. That's what I'm saying. You know, I look at because they have them out now. They have like a behind the scenes on. Yeah, that agreed. Um, I look at the behind the scenes on what was it, Endgame, and there are a lot of scenes that they cut out in there. Especially, there's a scene where Tony is talking to his daughter, and it has the girl from 13 Reasons Why. She was in there with him, and they were talking in that world where they had died, and she was basically like, was it worth it?" That kind of thing, and it just didn't fit the story, so they cut it. That was nothing saying anything negative to that girl or that actress. There was nothing negative to say anything about the performance of Tony Stark, but it didn't forward the story. And that's smart. I'd rather you forego something that doesn't push the story forward than keep things that, you know, you don't need to do. Um, Case in point, when we look at the latest installment of what was it, the Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange could have been great without all this fan service. I did not need to see Professor X in his chair. I've seen him in his chair. I know what he looks like. I don't need to hear the theme song and all that stuff. I've seen it before. I don't need to see things that don't make sense to the story. And the kickback to that is people are going to be like, well, that was a multiverse. I don't care. It's not helpful for the story. In fact, if anything, you're teasing stuff that I'd rather see be done. Like, for example, having um, what's his name, the guy that played Reed Richards in that movie. I'd have rather seen him as Reed Richards. He would have made a better Reed Richards. Yeah, absolutely. That didn't make any sense. It just it went off the rails. You know, you're damaging characters and you don't need to. Yeah, yeah. Um, Look, I don't mind violence in a show, but it has to serve a purpose. You know, think about it. Like when we look at Marvel zombies, okay, well, we know they're zombies, right? And we know that a lot of people are going to die. We know this. But why are we doing it? Just so we can show something cool in there? Just so we can go ahead and have Captain Carter show up and then quickly be, cut in half? Really? Come on. I want something that makes sense. I really do. And it's not really hard to ask. And I think when Kevin Feige and the rest of the group, and Kevin Feige, yes, is part of this whole issue that happened because he's the leader of the ship, so he's going to catch some shade from this. Um, he did ultimately have to sign off on this stuff, but um, I think now that things have been tempered and their CEO is like, we want to produce less. Welcome back, Swirl. It's good to see you on here. You can jump in this conversation, just so you know. Um, I think with Kevin Feige and the CEO going like, look, we can't do all of this because it is not servicing our our overall goals that we have for the Marvel universe. In fact, it's just tainting everything. It's diluting the quality of our stuff. So you have people like myself, yourself, where we're looking at these things that they're doing, and they're like, I'm not I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to spend my money on this. And as a company, now you're screwed because now you're losing some of your fan base. Because the goal of these companies, whether it be Marvel or DC or anything like that, the goal is not to get you or me, people that are already diehards in this stuff. The goal is to get the 70% of people that are not into this stuff. So new kids. And you're losing 70% of that. We're talking $70,000 you're losing, because you're not making a good quality product. And then on top of that, that 30% of loyal people, they're not investing either because you made a bad product prior. You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. And I think Kevin Feige, I know for sure the CEO was like, or the interim CEO was like, yeah, we can't do this because this is not a sustainable model. So I'd rather us cut back, save money on production. I'd rather us put money into good quality products. We're going to do one show a year. We're going to um, we'll do our one show a year. We'll do two movies a year, and that's where we're going to go.
because all the rest of this crap doesn't mean anything. We're losing money. And the worst thing you could say to an investor is you're losing us money. An investor will be like hell you are. Like, you owe me money. What's up? You're going to go ahead and fix this problem and make it work. I mean, I know this isn't Marvel, but I don't know how much of a Star Wars fan you are, but I haven't liked the Star Wars thing. Man, it's been a minute. I didn't even like the spin-offs that they did, the third trilogy, right? I didn't like that. And when they did the last part of it, I was even less involved in it. So when they kept on, doing things like Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, I watched Obi-Wan. It started off well. It fumbled hard. I mean, the fight scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin was great, but the story really fell off fast. The one with that just came out where it was where was what the hell was the name of that one that they did? I need to see that. I've heard good things about that. I'm trying to remember the show that they did. They just did one with twins, and I'm going to pull it up here. I just gotta get my stuff up here, and I'll tell you what it is. It's on Disney. I'm going to go to Star Wars. Yes, the Acolyte. Thank you for doing that. The Acolyte was good in theory. Okay, the the antagonist in that series, when you got to see him, that was great. The story was crap. It really was. And people talk about these forced ideas. And again, I'm going to go back to the fact that, we, I don't know if it's pushed agendas or whatnot, but people brought up like, oh, we got all these feminine things and they're trying to push, same sex stuff. And here's the thing. I think with that particular show, they did that in there, and it was not something that served the story. It didn't really make it was almost like they pushed it on people, and they didn't need to, because it wasn't something that was beneficial to the story, and I think it hurt the story more than helped it. It wasn't organic. I felt like somebody was like, "I'm gonna take these 2 mothers, put them together, and we're going to, um, make them keys in this, and then their daughters are going to be." It just it was almost like it was getting shoved down people's throat, and I hated that. I want a story that is natural, and I don't want you to try to push an agenda. I don't have a problem with, a mother and a mother, and they're raising their children. I have no issue with that. I just want it to be a natural flow for the story. Like, there was no chemistry between those 2 characters. And I probably have no doubt, as actors, they probably are really good, but in this story, it was not even natural. It did a disservice to the story. Um, that was probably one of my bigger gripes. And 2, just character development was horrible in there. But as far as like the overall antagonist, that was the best part. He was a great fighter and all that kind of good stuff. Um, I will say, story wise, if you haven't seen it already, check out Star Wars Visions. That show is amazing. I mean, I love independent stories, like short stories. Look, the first one, somebody told me that made a statue of that samurai Sith. Oh, oh, that one, a samurai Sith, that's next level. That was next level. That sold me. Like if you don't have a samurai in one of your like little snippet series, you're not doing it right. And they did it right. And they started it off with that one in black and white. Ooh, it's like you were watching a manga. Again, like that's good storytelling. And that those were what? Not more than 10 minutes long per story? That was smart. Yes, I just saw that. I heard it was coming. I just didn't know when it was coming. Yeah, see, Disney is being smarter now with some of their stuff. I'm not saying all of it. I'll say some of it. I'm getting nervous about Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers is looking to sell their stuff, and that makes me very nervous. I just got back on the train of dealing with this Superman thing. I didn't like Superman as much as many other people did. Oh, the Samurai one's getting another episode. Hell yeah! Now I'm gonna have to watch the trailer. Thank you for letting me know that. You know what? I share your sentiment about the Superman. It wasn't my favorite one because my favorite Superman of all time is definitely Man of Steel. Um, but I want you to this take it from this perspective. You don't have to agree with me on it, but just roll with me on this real quick. So the Superman I compare to watching Iron Man. Okay, in my opinion, it's not as good as Iron Man. Iron Man is a better movie, but I put it on that level because Superman is setting us up for things to come. That's a better way to look at it because I think once they start building out this universe, I think you're going to go back to Superman and you're going to look at it with a different set of lenses. In fact, I'm not thinking about it. I know you're going to because I'm going to probably do the same thing because then I'm going to understand the value of the things that they did, the reason why they made certain decisions. I think about like how James Gunn is how he is as a storyteller, right? More so because he's doing these like anthology style of storytelling. So he's setting you up for things to come. So when we see these stories such as like Guardians of the Galaxy and how he did the send off at the end, he still opened up a door for us, right? Yeah, I feel like he is a little bit of a puss in this movie. I do feel that too. He doesn't feel as strong. Like when I think of Superman, he's like a man's man, right? He is. He absolutely is. He looks the part. I think just the fact that he is very sensitive, he doesn't have that gravitas like like Henry Cavill did. Like you knew, like when you saw Henry Cavill, you knew that he was sensitive, but when he needed to go and take care of business, he did. He was not going to be beaten very easily. When you saw him in Man of Steel, you were like, when he cracked Zod's head, he was like, I'm gonna I'm gonna break your neck. And yes, I feel pain because I had to do that. but it wasn't like you were he was overly sensitive. He really was he towed the line between the two. And I think that James Gunn for this movie was fine. I think going forward, it cannot be him. I think he just needs to be the creative on things moving forward. Yes, it was very much um, Guardians meets Superman. Even the fact that how many characters that he had in there and how he really portrayed them, I think that was it too. I think that when I look at even Lex Luthor, it was weird. Lex Luthor, he was psychotic, but it was off. Like something was weird about him. It really was, and I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. And some of the character choices that he made on there, I don't know. It was really really weird. Swirl, what do you think on that stuff? What did you think about Superman? Yeah, I don't know. My hope is that if they decide to the that Warner Brothers decides to sell, I just don't want them to start another universe. Don't restart things, please. Yeah, that was weird. That was I don't know. The fact that he had a Bizarro Superman in there and he was robot, he wasn't free thinking, that was weird. I don't understand why they would do that. And completely agree. Like, why was he just like, I'm gonna go B-67? I don't get it. That was fucking weird. Hey, Swirl, we're talking about that Superman stuff. Seeing what your thoughts are. Um, yeah, I just don't want to see another restart. I absolutely do not want to see it again. I think if they sell and they do a restart of that stuff, I might be done. I mean, you're gonna have to do a complete literal overhaul for me to jump and buy in on that one. I was like that when they decided to do Spider-Man again. See, you are in the same boat too with the both of us. Like the bio parent thing that they were evil didn't make no sense. I mean, isn't he supposed to be a good guy? Like, isn't the family supposed to be a good family? Which begs the question, okay, if you're gonna make that kind of a turn, right? What is the end game for that? Why are you doing that? So when we actually get to go ahead and see, which I think they might do, there probably is going to be a prequel to this where we see Krypton, like it might be a movie called Krypton. Are we going to get to see them as evil parents or as an evil society and understand that they had to be destroyed? Like there's got to be a reason why they went that route, not just to put an arc in the story. There has to be an end game for this. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I have no idea. Yeah, I have look, I have the utmost faith in James Gunn. Like, I think he's a really good creative. I think he's got really good ideas. I think he really likes to think outside the box. I just don't know what he's going to do with this particular one. I really think he's gonna. I think he's got an idea of things that he wants to do. Again, like if the sale happens and he's not at the head of the ship, I don't know what the hell is going to happen. That's my only concern. Yeah, yeah. Well, you could still utilize that Superman logo, and instead of saying for peace, you could be like, "Yes, for Superman." So they could turn it that way. Yeah. Well, maybe they'll just change the look of the symbol. Yeah, I don't know where they're going to go with it. I hope whatever move they decide to do, it's smart. Yeah, I don't. That's the thing. I don't know where they would take it. I think it's just too early for us to tell. I don't think. Well, not think. I know that we don't have an idea um, where Gunn is looking to go with this series. He, James Gunn is very unpredictable as far as like what he might do. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how it plays out. I think he's gonna come up with something really good, though. I think the part that we're gonna run into is that James Gunn has to stop being director. He has to stop. And the reason that I say that is he cannot run doing what he's doing and be a director and be the creative behind the company because that's his role. Like he's the creative director for this universe for DC, and he cannot effectively do that while he's doing all the direction because it's a lot. I mean, unless he already has his plan made out and he's like, okay, well, this is the plan. Now all we have to do is find the right writers. We have to get the correct directors, and then they can put their vision onto this. That's the only way that'll work. I mean, I don't know how he's going to pull off directing another movie here and have it out in just under 2 years at this point, unless he's already got the story written. That's the only part that I can. That's the only thing I can think of that would make it work. Um, he is an old school director, and the fact that he sets up a lot of his shots, he's already ready to go well before production's in place, so that might happen. So I'm looking forward to see what happens on his end. Um, and the same thing goes with any of these other Marvel based movies and all that stuff. What I really would like to know, and I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, okay, why is it that it takes so long for us to get movie after movie after movie? Now I understand that there is like you have to worry about people's schedules and everything, right? But why does it take so long for us to movies into our get movies out when they can produce TV series every year? Why is that? I'm gonna have to ask somebody that's in that space because I don't get it. Why is it such a headache? Why does it take so long? I just got done watching Gen V, and I was like, why do I have to wait another while to see this? Okay, no problem. Like I said, I'll go ahead and start working on your piece tomorrow. So, um, hey, take care, and I look forward to knocking this one out, and I can't wait to get it out to you. So, also going to look for that gambit for you as well. Okay, you take care. Yeah, you know what, Swirl? I understand it's money. I get that. But there's money in everything that we do, right? So if you produce a TV show, you're still spending a lot of money to produce that show. And you got to coordinate schedules for these people. Now, you're doing one thing, right? So Fast and the Furious is an example for this because it's current, right? So Fast and the Furious right now is going through this weird flux where we're going to make this movie or we're not going to make this movie. The reason that we are not going to make it right now is because you just spent $300 million for our last movie and it didn't make as much as we intended for it. So your budget has to be rolled back. Oh, and by the way, you're not going all over the world to produce this. You need to keep it a little more domestic. Oh, and we're definitely going to downsize the amount of cars and all this other stuff because you can't do return on investment anymore. You're not making $1 billion films or close to $1 billion films. And I get it. I get that. But give me a good quality product. That's what I look at. I mean, stop giving me bullshit. If I'm going to wait for, 2, 3 years for your movie, you better give me a damn good movie. A lot of people give that last one a lot of flack. I would say the best part of that movie was Jason Momoa. He was freaking hilarious in that movie. He acted as if somebody had broken his brain. He did that part very well. I just want to see more shows come out more often, like good shows. Like I get why shows like Invincible don't come out but once every like year and a half. That's all hand drawn stuff, right? That's animation. So that's going to take a while to get done. That part makes sense. But when you're doing like live productions and whatnot, you're filming the shit, and all the things that you have to do is, edit it. You have to put in the graphics and all that kind of good stuff. A lot of that's done in previs. It's just cleaning it up, and then you reshoot whatever you need to reshoot. I don't know why it takes so long. I mean, they were doing high-end production on Flash. I'm not talking about the newer ones. I'm talking about the older ones. Um, and they were able to produce that on a annual basis. Where is the problem? I just don't see it. All right, about wrapping this guy up here. Yeah, money is something. So, Sora, what you up to today? Doing anything fun? All right. Yeah, that's some crap. I agree. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I could see how those could contribute to all that stuff. I don't know why studios would play those games. I definitely would not because I would want to retain good quality people. Um, Word of mouth can make or break you, and I know that they can probably hire somebody else to do the job for cheaper, but you're paying for the quality of that actor or actress, and not even just actor actors, but also the people that are producing the movie, the artisans, and all that stuff. I just think it's just stupid. You got to take care of people, man. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't do a good quality product and you're not taking care of your staff, and that means all staff, we're not just talking the main actors, but all staff, um, you're going to hurt the overall product. And then that ultimately hurts the viewer, and the viewer is going to stop paying those funds. I don't know about you, but I watch this guy named John Campia on a regular basis, and they were bringing up um, costs for streaming services the other day, and they were talking about the fact that you know at least every year that these streaming services are charging more and more money for people to utilize their services. Which all in all, I don't have a problem paying for that kind of stuff. However, I think that a lot of the stuff that we get nowadays on streaming, they're not really trying anymore. Yeah, yeah, I just heard about that. I don't invest in HBO. I haven't invested in HBO since they switched over to HBO Max. So that was the last time that I had them. And it was expensive back then. I'm one of those people that will, be part of the churn process. I will wait until a series ends and then I will go ahead, jump on the streaming service, watch what I need to watch, and then I'm out. I will wait for Game of Thrones to finish and I will watch it after it's done. Because for me, it just makes more sense. Yeah, it is. It absolutely, honestly, I just cut my cable in half because number one, I only pay for two streaming services. Okay. I have my Netflix, which I think my what I get out of Netflix is absolutely worth the money. It's not just for the domestic stuff. I think that stuff is fun. Um, I'm a wrestling fan, so that stuff is fun to watch too. But I more so like the international programming that gets put on there than the domestic stuff. So for me, that's a good value. Um, and I also have the Disney package, which I'm going to shift away from the ESPN because I don't ever use it. But I have the triple play one that they have, um, and those two I think are great because I get Hulu, which I watch. I use that more than Disney Plus. So for me, that's a benefit. But then I just get Hulu in my Disney Plus. But now in the new year, it's just going to be Disney Plus really by itself because Hulu's going away or it's getting absorbed by Disney, right? So I don't know. I really don't know where things are going to go, and I love having access to all of these streaming services, but also I'm like, am I really getting the value out of what I'm paying for? And I think if we start really waiting a little bit longer as a consumer, we'll see that when we do bundling, that's where we're going to get our money's worth. Yeah, the best bundle I ever got was when they were like, "Hey, you want to get Hulu with ESPN and Disney Plus?" I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go!" Because I already had Hulu, and right now the only reason that I have Disney Plus is not for me. I got the stuff. I kept it for my son because my son was really getting into Disney at that, or getting into Marvel at that point, so it just made sense to keep it. But now he's kind of like, "I'm done. I don't really need to jump on this train no more. I'm over it." All right. I think Iceman is done. I think we're gonna call it a day on this one. All right, Swirl. I hate to go ahead and call it, buddy. Um, if you're on tomorrow, I'm going to be up on here again at 9 tomorrow. So if and when you wake up, because I know for you there's a time difference between the two of us. So when you wake up, come on, jump on the stream, man. I would love to chat with you. We'll throw down on some new stuff tomorrow. Okay, but I will see you later. And to anybody else that's watching, I will see you tomorrow morning. Take care.